I've read so many these kind of articles where women talk about not losing their virginity for the longest time. Isko asar body women mounts, right? Just letting you know. I don't know about men, but I think mostly in female, I think there's this pressure of being virginity for so long. And, by the time you read and finish the article, you'll realize that it isn't that they weren't interested. And they don't want to confess that, म interested थिइनँ त्यही भएर गरिनँ भनेर जसरी उहाँले त्यसको explanation दिनुहुन्छ. By that, you can so figure out that they didn't do it because they were trained that way. होइन? Okay. तपाईलाई चाहिँ you are supposed to do it only after your wedding भन्ने कुरा चाहिँ बच्चा बेलामै भनिन्छ नि त. Because, लुज हुन्छ अनि बुढाले तिमीलाई मन पराउँदैन. बुढाले तिमीलाई छोडिदिन्छ. होइन त्यो एउटा जुन एउटा कन्सेप्ट छ that okay vagina is just going to be loose and then it just I don't know loses its whatever it is होइन and then the man is not going to like you and then a man is going to replace you just like he changes the shoes.
Half Full Technology, one-stop solution for your digital marketing needs.
Hi everyone, welcome to episode 28 of the podcast series Less or More. Today I've got Nishma ji with me. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. Been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. My first podcast was with you in the good health. And I'm so glad to actually have you on my podcast. So I don't know if I've introduced the topic of the whole podcast series thing. So the podcast series ko topic che ke ho bhane minimalism and intentional living. So no one here talks about minimalism.
Heavy words.
Yeah.
So to simplify it.
So minimalism bhaneko living a life with more value but with less things, less stuff. So I started this podcast about minimalism. Then it went on to minimalism ko one core value ne bhaneko intentional living ho haina. You don't become minimal by accident. You choose that. And so one of the core values of minimalism bhaneko ne choosing to live with less things so that the things you have are the things that add value to your life, right? त्यसपछि intentional living को बारेमा कुरा गर्दै गयो and I studied psychology, so त्यसपछि psychology को topics हरुमा जाँदै गयो हैन. But one of the topics that's been very close to me, especially since I came back to Nepal, is the topic of sex. Not so let's talk about sex, baby.
That's such a nice way to say something. One of the topics that's really close to my heart is sex.
But in sex education, so not sex, but sex education, say. And the reason being, a few topics I did on toxic masculinity. And another topic, this thing kept on coming up. Sex education. Why? Toxic masculinity also has a lot to do with sex education. Sexual harassment, assault, rising rape cases in Nepal. Sex education.
They're interconnected.
Yeah, they're interconnected. And I think the core of it, if you keep on peeling the layers, I think for me it comes down to education. And I thought it'll be really nice to talk to you about this. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really happy that you started all of this for yourself.
Thank you.
And I know I asked you to sort of explain whatever you said, and that's only because I know that you have such amazing and articulate way of explaining what you have in your thoughts. I really like it. I enjoed doing the podcast that we did back then. And if you guys haven't watched it, The Good Health.
Yes, please do.
I think that episode was so interesting. Eh?
Yeah, it was very, very interesting. Especially a lot of parents came, reached out to me, my parents, friends and all that stuff. They reached out to me. They reached out to my mom and dad saying, this is such an important topic that your son talked about.
I know, yeah.
Because people think, my mom says, my sister's in Nepal right now with her 2 kids, and my mom keeps on telling my sister, 5 वर्षसम्म अप्ठ्यारो त्यसपछि त सजिलो हुन्छ.
You look at it from your side.
Yeah. But teens, adolescents भनेको for the teens को कस्तो turbulent times हो अनि त्यो turbulence ले गर्दाखेरि parents लाई कति अप्ठ्यारो पर्छ. त्यो सब कुरा चाहिँ लाइक बिर्सिन्छ बच्चा भनेमा खुवाउन अप्ठ्यारो
त्यस्तो केही पनि कन्भर्सेसन हुँदैन हुर्काउने बरु अहिले त अलि बढी भएको छ होइन हामी स्कुलमा लाने स्कुलको फिस त्यो बरु डिस्कसन अलि बढी हुन्छ होला which is nice but there is a different side which parents don't discuss अनि यसको एक्सटेन्सिभ यो कन्भर्सेसनको एक्सटेन्सिभ भर्जन चाहिँ द गुड हेल्थ
इन द गुड हेल्थ अनि द गुड हेल्थमा पनि आई थिङ्क वान अफ द थिङ्स मैले के भनेको थिएँ भने लाइक पेरेन्ट्स निड टु talk to their kids about relationships, sex, all these things. त्यति भए पनि यो कुरा निस्केको थियो आज चाहिँ त्यसलाई नै एक्सटेन्ड गरेर let's talk about sex education. Let's talk about talking about sex.
Talking about sex.
Yeah. So, do you think talking about sex is normal? Is it like have you had conversations? What do you think?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Not even now. It's, I think, very close circle of people where close group of people who have actually evolved and maybe have a thought process like us. And then, you know, we try to, evaluate, maybe we need to talk about sex or this is how we can put it through to our children or the younger people. But it isn't absolutely common. I grew up in a family where, watching kissing scenes or, even English movies in general. We've grown up watching Bollywood films, and back then Bollywood films didn't have kissing scenes and all that, Imran.
Yeah.
Thankfully, Imran Hashmi happened, and then, thank God. But that was, after I was a teenager. And I was a teenager. So I lost the fun. We didn't have that kind of fun. So it wasn't very appropriate for us to watch English films. So अंग्रेजी फिल्म नै चलचित्र नै हेर्न नदिने किसिमको हुन्छ नि हेर्नु हुँदैन त्यसमा के हुन्छ त छाडा
हुन्छ
हैन अनि त्यो कस्तो हुँदो रहेछ भन्दाखेरि एक किसिमले हो त्यसमा चाहिँ अलिकति सेक्सुअल कन्टेन्टहरु चाहिँ अलि बढी हुन्छ मेबी सेक्सुअल कन्टेन्ट एकदम हार्डकोर भएन भने पनि एक किसिमले एउटा किस मेबी जुन चाहिँ अहिले यसो सोच्दाखेरि त oh my god, that's so normal, isn't it? Like
so normal.
Like people are kissing everywhere.
Exactly.
My friends, they started kissing when they were in 7th grade, I know. Wow. And I thought, oh my god, that's Thara stuff, man. You're doing the Thara stuff you're doing there. I think there was just them experimenting. And people kiss everywhere. They're like, like let's get real. भन्ने कुरा चाहिँ अब अहिले आएर बुझ्यो, which is like someone who will be that age right now, who is that age right now, maybe 12 or whatsoever, may not be listening to all of that, hopefully. Hopefully.
म पनि अब सानो the only TV मा मलाई याद भएको कुरा चाहिँ के हो भने त्यो I think Panther condom को एड आउँथ्यो नि झिल्केदाई छ छैन कन्डममा भन्ने I had no clue what a condom was. I was too young to actually know also. तर I used to run around the house singing that song. It was so catchy. And my mom and dad like, what are you singing?
Don't sing that song. I have done that too. I have the same story.
Yeah, that song go. It's such a catchy song though. But anyway, talking about sex is such a taboo just thing. And like I studied in America and I studied in the UK. And like I think America is way too sexualized. I know, like everything's about sex. Everyone wants to talk about sex.
Sounds like a dreamland.
It's a little like irksome. It's too much. Okay? Like there are more things in life than sex.
Yeah,
and
true.
And for them, it's all, especially colleges and stuff like your university campuses matter. It's all about sex. I mean, movies or TV shows, they're obsessed with sex.
It is, yeah.
I know.
True.
That I think is like taking it too far. But at least some of the things we can take from there is normalizing the activity, normalizing the topic.
Yeah, true.
But here it's like,
oh my god, that must have been such a change for you, from Nepal to US and from
shock.
No sex, absolutely no sex to too much of
and
sexual
too much
conversation.
Of just that, too much of that, just that conversation, and that was a massive culture shock to me. And like the other reason, actually, your topic ko bare ma kura garna man लागेको पनि is मैले यो actually pitch गरेको हो के multiple colleges हरुलाई नेपालमा हैन sex education. Colleges, schools, whatever, 11, 12.
I'm sure even one of the sessions didn't happen.
It did not. None of it happened. None of
I don't
it
even
happened.
I don't even have to ask you. Okay, did anyone?
Progressive people, progressive schools, progressive colleges. schools that want to send when I say schools, I mean high schools, let's say like 12 somewhere.
I get it.
So schools that focus on sending students to America, right? An over-sexualized country. Right? त्यस्तो स्कुल्सहरुसँग पनि मैले कुरा गरेको हैन फुल एक्साइटेड हो सन्दीप जी गर्नुपर्छ वी लभ दिस आइडिया हामीले पनि सोचिरहेको थियौं अब हल्का टेन्जेन्ट नेपालको मान्छे सबभन्दा मन नपर्ने कुरा के थाहा छ जे नौलो कुरा शेयर गरे पनि हामीले पनि सोचिरहेको थियौं भनिदिन्छ सोचेको छ अहिलेसम्म सोचेको छैन तर राम्रो कुरा आइडिया आउने चाहिँ हामीले पनि सोचेको थियौं भनिदिहाल्ने कि अनि हामीले पनि सोचि नै रहेको थियौं सन्दीप जी गर्नुपर्छ कन्भर्सेसन मसँग अगाडि बढेन I don't think it ever happened. Another one of the places jam मैले pitch गरेको त्यहाँ त I'm like closely associated also never happened, right? Like and the progressive places and why is किन चाहिँ प्रोफेसर्सहरुले नाइ भनेको त नहोला because I think they see the value. अब त्यो पढायो भने फेरि पेरेन्ट्सहरुले चाहिँ के कुरा सिकाएको हाम्रो बच्चाहरुलाई भन्छन् भन्ने डर हो कि के हो कि म त्यही छक्क पर्छ
I wish they would accept the fact that their children are maybe already experimenting उहाँले सुरु गरिसक्नु भयो भन्ने कुरा चाहिँ एक्सेप्ट गर्दियो भने पनि अलिकति
हाम्रो पेरेन्ट्सहरु चाहिँ they are in denial जस्तो लाग्छ they are in denial
unless and until your children
पछि मात्र उनीहरुले सिक्छन् कि like something like that हुन्छ भनेर जस्तै कि like बिहापछि कहाँ like no one gifts you a book about like what happens after marriage how to have kids भनेर so what do they think मेरो दाइ हुनुहुन्थ्यो है until like he was like 16 17 something that age तिर he thought कि बच्चा कसरी पाउँछ भन्नुमा बिहा हुनेमा पण्डितले एउटा मन्त्र दिन्छ अरे मन्त्र दिन्छ अरे हैन अनि त्यो मन्त्र पढेपछि बच्चा हुन्छ भन्ने खालको he thought कि and like
I had a friend she thought that the moment सिन्दुर टाउकोमा लाउने बित्तिकै चाहिँ प्रेग्नेन्ट हुन्छ सो दिस वान्स अब बच्चा हुँदा त सानो हुन्छ हामी भन्दा ठुलो भयो होइन अनि उसले के ढकाल्दाखेरि चाहिँ त्यो सिन्दुर खसेछ क्या सो फिल्मी के हुन्छ नि होइन झर्यो अनि उसको टाउकोमा अलिकति परेछ क्या एन्ड स्ट्रेट अवे शी टच्ड हर बेली शी थट ओ माई गॉड आई एम प्रेग्नेन्ट सो या आई मीन दिस काइन्ड अफ थिङ्स
Yeah, it sounds like we're of the age where it's like अब हाम्रो एजको मान्छेहरूले जब यो सुन्नुहुन्छ they might think कि त्यति बेला अनि like we thought some things like that and there might be another group of people who might think कि अहिले पनि त्यस्तो सोच छ र भने तर हामी पो 25-30 वर्ष पुग्यौं हजुर तर अहिलेको 14 वर्ष 13 वर्षकोहरूले त के एक्सपिरियन्स गरिरहेछ थाहा छैन तर one thing we know they're not experiencing is sex education okay?
That definitely
no one talks about अब puberty सुरु भएपछि sexually active हुन थाल्छन् sexually active doesn't just mean like sex भनेर हैन masturbation exploring the body
yeah
and all of that is part of it अनि त्यो सुरु हुने बेलामा what is happening like what am I doing like what is this that I'm exploring my body भन्ने कुराहरु कति क्वेशन्स हुन्छ अनि
क्युरियोसिटी बढी हुन्छ अनि अब कुरो नै गर्ने हो भने चाहिँ अब हामी सबैले पढेकै छौँ EPH च्याप्टर नम्बर 9 हैन इट्स स्टार्ट पनि याद छ तपाईलाई द्याट्स व्हाट इट वाज हैन च्याप्टर नम्बर 9 अनि त्यसपछि अब एन्ड द्याट डजन्ट explain anything to be honest it's just the reproductive part that they will explain त्यसको पनि अब your anatomy उहाँहरूले explain गरिदिनुहुन्छ and I don't know how that is sex education interestingly we had one of these teachers who was the faculty head EPH ko her name was Geeta her name is Geeta I mean still I know.
Still is Geeta.
Still is Geeta. I hope she hasn't changed her name. So, LMA पढेको म. So, I know all the students might remember her because she was a rage. उहाँ चाहिँ rage हुनुहुन्थ्यो कि जुन किसिमको कन्भर्सेसन हामीहरूले गरिरहेका छौँ नि उहाँले चाहिँ त्यो बेला त्यसलाई इन्ट्रोड्युस गर्नु भएको हाम्रो स्कुलमा इन सम लेभल हुन्छ नि टु सम एक्सटेन्ट उहाँले गर्नु भएको हो कि सो जब हाम्रो चाहिँ EPH को प्र्याक्टिकल्सहरू हुन्थ्यो आई रिमेम्बर उहाँले चाहिँ चार्ट पेपर्सहरू ल्याउने रियल कन्डम्सहरू लिएर आएर हामीलाई देखाउने त्यस्तो कामहरू गर्नुभएको इनफ्याक्ट सी ट्रेन्ड the other teachers जो चाहिँ अरू त्यही फ्याकल्टीभित्र हुनुहुन्थ्यो EPH पढाउनेहरू उहाँहरूलाई ट्रेन गर्नुहुन्थ्यो सो बाई द टाइम आई थिङ्क we're in 10th grade we were told a lot of things I still remember she said one thing and I have taken names so I don't know if it's going to be appropriate but I think that was the best thing to say she said if you guys are looking for partner it's very important that you're also sexually compatible
yeah
And you know, this is such an important thing. I know, you to kasto important kura bhannu bhako थियो उहाँले अनि in a young age, त्यो young age होइन के त्यसको लागि. I think it's a very simple, she simply put it के त्यति बेला त oh my god man said that जस्तो लाग्यो के मलाई हैन. अहिले सोच्दाखेरि no, she said the right thing.
The right thing.
I know.
That many years ago.
At the right time. At the right time. 15-16 को एजमा when we were like drooling over Bollywood films and thinking okay love चाहिँ यस्तो हो, partner यसरी आउँछ यस्तो हुन्छ. She told the right thing. She like if you are looking for a partner, it's very important you're sexually compatible. You know, I know there are societal norms and all of that. So the best balance is to just get engaged. Then you have to see how your partner is in real. You know, like emotionally, physically, you have to be sexually intimate. You have to already go, you know, like it's important that you take a step above and then make the decision. And I think that was अहिले यसो सोच्दै जाँदाखेरि त्यो खास एकदम इम्पोर्टेन्ट कुरा भन्यो. घरमा त कसैले नै भन्दैन त्यो.
घरमा त्यही त एक्ज्याक्ट that's a good transition into the next topic I wanted to discuss के घरमा अब where should sex education start त अलि पछि कुरा गरौँ हैन. तर घरमा हाम्रो प्यारेन्ट्सहरु चाहिँ किन यति shy, reserved about this topic?
Poor people, they have been raised that way, you know. It's very important for us to understand that our parents aren't God. They aren't gods, okay? They are humans in the end. And everything that we talk about right now, जस्तै हामीले एउटा कन्डिसनिङको कुरा गर्छौँ, लर्निङको कुरा गर्छौँ, प्र्याक्टिसेसको कुरा गर्छौँ, लर्नको कुरा गर्छौँ. हाम्रो पेरेन्ट्समा पनि त्यो भएको हो होइन. अब उहाँहरूले त जे देख्नुभयो जे बुझ्नुभयो त्यही नै सिकाउनु खोज्नुभयो. अनि प्रोग्रेसिभ पनि अब कहाँ हुने त उहाँलाई त झनै गाह्रो भयो नि त. किनभने लुक एट यु नो द जेनेरेसन, द ट्रान्जिसन हेरौँ न होइन. त्यो ट्रान्जिसन एकदम उहाँहरूको लागि पनि स्केरी भयो होला नि त. आई डोन्ट थिङ्क आई वुड हेभ इमेजिन माई मम नट panicking about me not getting married by 28 हुन्छ नि. उहाँ जस्तो उहाँको हुर्काइ छ त्यो हिसाबले त म त 23-24 मा त बिहा भएन भने त मेरो माई मम वुड लाइक प्यानिक्ड होइन. तर शी इज अल्सो अनलर्निङ एन्ड देन लर्निङ. सो त्यसले गर्दाखेरि पनि हो होइन. आई थिङ्क उहाँहरूले आफूलाई चाहिँ अलिकति सेटब्याक गर्नुभएको. तर यो एकदमै डार्क पनि हुन जान्छ कि कुरा गर्दै गयो भने. जस्तै ल उहाँले त सिक्नुभयो, अब किन सिक्नुभयो त, कसरी सिक्नुभयो त भन्दाखेरि ओ माई गड फर years and years sex wasn't seen as what it is. होइन त्यसलाई चाहिँ अब एकदमै
sex wasn't seen as something of like mutual pleasure. It was of
it's only to make babies and mostly for male pleasure of course. And sometimes to tame women as well. मैले जति देखेको छु बुझेको छु तँलाई ठिक पार्छु आज is so much about okay I'm just going to fuck you tonight. You know, that kind of thing. So त्यस्तो पनि सुनेको छु. So it gets very dark like you said.
Yeah, but like going off of that, having conversations about sex and bringing it out in the open, I know that this is a normal thing that everyone does, I know, with like no particular objective per se, I know it's a normal kura ho भन्ने खालको गरेपछि के हुन्छ भने it empowers both people नि हैन from a young age. अब like you talked about that toxic masculinity अब तँलाई ठिक पार्छु and stuff like that हैन. तर when we start talking about it more and more, if we normalize the topic of sex, it becomes empowering also in the sense that it's not something that can be used against me.
Yeah.
It's something I can also enjoy. I should be enjoying. Like, it's not something, it's not a weapon or something like that. Isn't it? Kura, like when it becomes normal. It
is. Absolutely it is. Just say for a woman to know, okay, sex is there and sex isn't just to make babies. Sex is there for me to enjoy as well.
For me to enjoy, yeah.
For me to have fun as well. Yeah. It is also, you know, it can also be fun for me. It can be absolutely very empowering. It's not that.
It becomes a foreign concept, like only introduced after a wedding.
To make babies.
Yeah, and then literally there's just, in the most conservative sense, there's one person introducing the topic to you, your significant other. Is the only one introducing the topic to you. And you get a very narrow picture about what sex actually is.
I think I disagree with you here. It's not your significant other who introduces the topic to you. It's actually the books. It is. I know. Books ma chha ni uhanle rakhdinu bhako cha chapter tara tyaबाट जुन concept आउँछ. That's again, you know, I clearly remember the first time was when I was in 7th grade, okay? So I can actually go back to the time when the first time we had this and the boys were so excited, oh my god, we have chapter 9 from grade 7. अनि त्यसपछि सर आउनु भयो अनि सधैँ हाँसेर बोल्ने टिचर त्यो दिन he completely flipped. He was so serious that day. And I thought to myself, who died? त्यस्तो सिरियस हुनुभयो क्या जबकि त्यो सर यति जिस्केको मात्रै गरे जिस्काएर सकाइदिनु सबै च्याप्टर होइन त्यो दिन he flipped and he was like completely serious and I thought to myself who died and then he slowly started look today what I'm going to talk to you about is a very serious topic and imagine like अब अहिलेको पर्सपेक्टिभबाट यो कुरा सुन्दै जानु है तपाईँ so I am here today because of sex my parents had sex you are here because your parents had sex and then if I think of it right now मैले अहिले सोचेँ भने त okay sex भने त बच्चा जन्माउनलाई हो होइन त्यसको अरू केही त त्योसँग केही पनि अरू इन्टरलिङ्क्डै छैन लाइक यु सेड ओके टक्सिक मास्कुलिनिटी लिङ्क छ होला होइन सेक्स एजुकेसनसँग रेप सेक्स एजुकेसनसँग लिङ्क गर्न सकिन्छ किनभने सेक्स एजुकेसन इज अ बिग अम्ब्रेला होइन त्यसको मुनि त के हाल्न सकिन्छ नि त अनि तर त्यो बेला त हामीलाई इन्ट्रोड्युस गराएको कन्सेप्ट भनेको त बच्चा पाउनलाई मात्र हो नि त होइन सो आई थिङ्क इट्स इन्ट्रोडक्टरी पार्ट सोसाइटीमै हुन्छ अथवा स्कुलिङमै हुन्छ होइन तर जुन एउटा रियल इन्ट्रोडक्सन जुन हुन्छ त्यो चाहिँ आई थिङ्क विथ द सिग्निफिकेन्ट अदर हुन्छ कि भन्ने कुरा
सो ओके लेट्स गो टु द अदर पार्ट अफ वेयर शुड sex education start then?
That's a very tough question, but home is always your first school. I know, but if I can go back and think about times when I was told about sex or I was told what it is, I think I was absolutely degraded as a woman when I was taught about what sex is, जस्तै गर्नु हुँदैन बुढाले पछि थाहा पाउँछ बुढाले छोडिदिन्छ थाहा हुन्छ है this is what exact words यसरी नै सिकाइन्छ मैले सुनेको पनि यस्तै नै छु देखेको पनि यस्तै बुझेको पनि यही हो है इफ आई हेभ टु थिङ्क अफ इट अब अर्को चाहिँ बुढाले जे भन्यो त्यही गर्नुपर्छ काइन्ड अफ थिङ हुन्छ नि मैले त्यस्तो कन्सेप्ट पनि सुनेको छु जे भन्यो त्यही को सेन्समा चाहिँ मैले होइन उसले के भन्छ 2 चम्चा चिनी हालेर चियामा ल्याऊ द्याट वाजन्ट द थिङ द्याट दे वर टकिङ अबाउट प्रपर सेक्स देयर होइन सो आई थिङ्क हाउ गर्ल्स आर इन्ट्रोड्युस टु सेक्स एट होम इज so much more different than how men are introduced to sex. How do they talk about sex to guys at home?
No, never.
Never. Okay.
Never. Like, see, my thing is, I went to a boarding school, like I told you before. Sanidhi boarding school ma gaye, all boys boarding school, and out there it's just like a bunch of teenagers, just like with not all the rising testosterone levels.
Not even getting to masturbate because they're sharing rooms.
No, damn. Yeah, it's like a massive dormitory with like 60 students or like 20 students, 30 students, all that stuff, and you're learning everything with these similar age people. You have no idea what they know, what they don't know, if it's right, if it's wrong. And like my first understanding of sex education or like sex and stuff like that came like when I went to America and like a proper way my educational वेमा त्यसरी थाहा पाएको भने अब यो उसले यो भन्यो भन्दा पनि लाइक यो प्रपर वेमा इन्ट्रोड्युस भएको भने चाहिँ कलेजमा इन्टरनेसनल स्टुडेन्ट्सको ओरिएन्टेसन थियो कि अनि त्यति बेला आई थिङ्क द राइट थिङ द्याट माई कलेज डिड वाज दे टक्ड अबाउट सेक्स दे टक्ड अबाउट कल्चर सक दे टक्ड बिकज अब अ लट अफ स्टुडेन्ट्स इन्टरनेसनल स्टुडेन्ट्स भने एसिया इस्ट एसियाबाट त आउँछन् एन्ड अल अफ दिज भेरी कन्जर्भेटिभ फर्मल cultures where you don't talk about all these topics. America mata it's like the polar opposite, and this was they introduced this topic, and then they brought up things like sexual assault, sexual harassment, what is harassment, rape, and Title 9 भने चाहिँ यो अब if someone feels harassed at school कसरी report गर्ने प्रोसिजरहरू के हुन्छ त्यो सबै कुराहरू के and then I realized कि sex and stuff like that isn't what we see in the movies. Right? Movies ma hamle
porn specifically
porn and in movies porn. And all अब यो हाम्रो सबै अब हाम्रो एजको सबै स्टुडेन्ट्स or like young teenagers ले हेर्ने movies भने त्यति बेला अमेरिकन पाई गर्ल नेक्स्ट डोर यो सबै थियो अमेरिका पढ्न गयो भने यस्तो कलेजमा गइन्छ भन्ने खालको सोच आउने हैन
Not why you went there.
Not why I went but like you think like that हैन अनि त्यसपछि what happens, what is the reality? It's not like that. Life and college and university is not American Pie and Girl Next Door and all those other movies. And then if you like parents in schools, if you let that be your your kids को introduction to sex, and
it's going to be even horrible.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very horrible. They're going to get into trouble. They're going to get others into trouble. They're going to hurt someone. They're going to hurt themselves. And that's really scary. And the reason I think हाम्रो कल्चरहरुमा अहिले लाइक यो टपिक इन्ट्रोड्युस गराउन किन इम्पोर्टेन्ट छ जस्तो लाग्छ भने a lot of students aspire to go to America, to Australia, whatever, हैन. अनि यहाँबाट चाहिँ केही पनि थाहा नपाइकन अनि त्यहाँ जाँदा चाहिँ suddenly like this sexually free कल्चरमा जाँदा चाहिँ what do you do? Like, how do you explore yourself there? Okay? यो भने त त्यो
it could go wrong in so many ways.
Yeah, it can go wrong in so many ways. Okay?
True.
अनि त्यही भएर चाहिँ अब not saying कि अब अमेरिकाको सेक्स एजुकेसन त्यहाँ त एब्स्टिनेन्स सिकाउँछ. The best protection is no sex. Like अब before marriage भनेर सिकाउँछ कि like best protection, not condom. हैन, not
at least they talk about it. हुन्छ जस्तै okay, this is the best thing you can do भन्ने कुरा भए पनि त्यो भन्दा अगाडि त धेरै कुराहरु छ नि त. Okay, this can happen, this can happen, this can happen.
Yeah, so at least they talk about it, right? Yeah, you can see it in a good way and bad way, हैन. Some parents talk about when especially prom जाने बेला यता उता भन्छ नि त्यो 11-12 को बेलामा चाहिँ they talk about like how okay, you know, you're starting to find boys and girls attractive. You know, you might be getting interested in esto, you might be getting into relationships now. It's important for you to remember safe sex. Have you ever used a condom eta uta bhanne khalko kura hola. There might be another group of parents who might say ki this is not the right time, marriage pachi, all that stuff. Some level of conversation bhaye pani cha. अनि अब स्कुल्सले त झन् एब्स्टिनेन्स सिकाउँछ. लाइक द बेस्ट सेक्स इज बेस्ट प्रोटेक्सन इज नो सेक्स होइन. अब अन्टिल म्यारेज अब हाम्रोमा इन सम वे त्यही टाइप त भइरहेको हो. बेस्ट टाइप अफ प्रोटेक्सन
हाम्रोमा कस्तो हुन्छ भन्दाखेरि आई थिङ्क हाम्रो स्कुलमा एजुकेसन नभएको होइन, भएको कस्तो खाले एजुकेसन भन्दाखेरि अब देयर इज एसटिडी, देयर इज एसटिआइज हुन्छ नि छ. एन्ड इफ यु हेभ इट्स ओके, as far as I remember, it's like this. If you have unprotected sex, there are chances of getting unwanted pregnancy and the STIs. तर यति मात्र त होइन नि त होइन. यसको सोल्युसन के छ त? What are the STIs that you may have? What are the STIs that are actually transferred, or how is that happening? यो सबै कुराको च्यानल चाहिँ छैन क्या फेरि. And that's not the only thing. हाम्रो कन्सेप्टमा चाहिँ सेक्स एजुकेसन भनेको सो मच एनाटोमी मात्रै भयो नि त त्यो होइन. जस्तै डिजिज मात्रै भयो. ओके, एसटिआइज डिजिज भयो अथवा प्रेग्नेन्सी भयो होइन. तर सेक्स एजुकेसन इज सो मच अबाउट यु नो कन्सेन्ट. Like you said, rape is linked to it, होइन. त्यस बाहेक अब अरू के हुनसक्छ, जस्तो कन्सेन्टको कुरा आइहाल्यो, रेपको कुरा आइहाल्यो होइन. यस्तो कुराहरू पनि त छ नि त. त्यो कुरा चाहिँ कसरी हामी केटर गरिरहेको छौँ त होइन. गुड टच, ब्याड टच, यो पनि सेक्स एजुकेसन नै हो.
यो सबै पनि पढ्नुपर्ने हो कि सेक्स एजुकेसनमा चाहिँ होइन. त्यो सबै चाहिँ काहीँ पनि बेसिकली छैन.
For every gender to be safe, it's very important they know about consent.
Exactly.
It's very good important they know about rapes, or it's very important for them to know about harassment, assault, you know, any good touch, bad touch, you know, so that okay, if anyone ever thinks of, you know, okay, I'm suddenly, you know, so attracted to that person, I'm not going to go and touch them. In most cases it's male who's doing it, I know. If you know, put that sex education part to them. Okay, you tell them about rape, consent, good touch, bad touch, harassments, this and that. They are going to stop themselves because they know, oh, okay, I think I'm just getting...
They know what is wrong. At least they know what is right and wrong.
They can protect themselves. The girls or any other gender that's being harassed can protect themselves. Huncha ni, okay, this is happening and this is wrong and I need to fight back, I can fight back. So this to hanga binga छ जुन चाहिँ अब बेसिक कुराहरू खासमा स्कुलमा सिकाउनु पर्ने भने चाहिँ मोस्ट इम्पोर्टेन्ट चाहिँ कन्सेन्ट एन्ड दिस एन्ड द्याट हो, जुन चाहिँ छैन.
वान पार्ट स्कुलले पढाउनु पर्ने भनेको हाउ टु बी सेफ होइन. हाउ क्यान यु इन्जोय सेक्स सेफली. अनदर पार्ट, हाउ क्यान यु बी रेस्पेक्टफुल
to your partner
by asking for consent. होइन. What does harassment and assault mean? होइन. So मैले यो unwanted मेरो approachesहरू might be harassing the other person emotionally, physically, यो सबै कुराहरू हैन, and I shouldn't be doing this. If I do this is wrong. यो मान्छेले गरेको wrong हो, म यसलाई stop गर्नुपर्छ. यो सबै कुराहरू हैन, जति knowledge is power नि.
True.
So जति सिकायो यो सबै कुराहरू त्यति आफू पनि सेफ हुन सकिन्छ, अरूलाई पनि सेफ राख्न सकिन्छ.
हाम्रो कस्तो भयो भन्दाखेरि अब country like ours is a very religiously grounded. Very religiously grounded. अनि हाम्रो कल्चरमा how does it start? Okay, imagine a family being started. Picture that in your head. It's just two people getting married. When the two people are getting married, the biggest portion of the marriage is kanyadan. If you think of it, that's the major portion of kanyadan. How is it linked to sex now? Okay, the woman has to be pure, the girl has to be pure.
The word kanya
हुनु पर्यो, कन्याकुमारी हुनु पर्छ. What is Kanyakumari? It's a virgin woman.
What is the male equivalent for? There's no male. What is the other? See, कस्तो disparity.
Nobody cares.
Because the disparity create already.
Yeah, true. In fact, अब हामीले अझै त्यही भएर चाहिँ गाउँमा हेर्ने हो भने चाहिँ छोरी मान्छेलाई छिटै बिहा गरिदिन्छ. अझै पनि छ त्यो. Though it's illegal, मधेसमा जाने हो भने चाहिँ मधेसमा विशेष रूपमा हुन्छ त्यो. Child marriage is so common. Child marriage for girls is so common. The boys are of certain age. Girls are not. म त्यही जाँदाखेरि जस्तो मेरो house help, she has 4 children. She had 2 miscarriages.
Okay, let's talk about that then, हैन. The number of children पनि when I'm not trying to generalize this in a very surface level हेर्ने बेलामा more religious Christian families or अब अमेरिकाकै कुरा गरौँ, extremely religious families मा चाहिँ you'll see higher number of children. Why? Because contraceptions हरू चाहिँ use नगर भन्छ कि हैन. अब यहाँ पनि कन्ट्रासेप्सन्सको बारेमा नै अब यस्तो गाउँघरहरूमा सिकाएको छैन. अर्को कुरा अब टक्सिक म्यास्कुलिनिटीको बारेमा सोशलाइज भएको कुरा हेर्ने हो भने मेल इज सपोज टु इन्जोय सेक्स, फिमेल इज सपोज टु रिसिभ सेक्स or something like that भनेर सिकाउँछ हैन. अनि त्यति बेला के हो, वुमन डजन्ट इभन नो हाउ टु प्रोटेक्ट हरसेल्फ in terms of pregnancy. She doesn't want. Contraceptions हरूको बारेमा सिकायो भने education अब मैले स्कुलमा मात्र गर्नु भन्दा अरू वेमा पनि त गर्न सकिन्छ नि. Educate about family planning and यो त I think भइरहेको चाहिँ छ to some level चाहिँ
फलो कतिको भइरहेको छ भन्ने कुरा हो.
अब त्यो मात्र गर्यो भने पनि त unwanted pregnancies for the female त उसले आफै प्रिभेन्ट गर्न सक्यो नि त.
सक्यो
हैन. यो जस्तो 4 children 2 miscarriages, total of 6 attempts.
She doesn't have a womb anymore.
Total of 6 attempts.
6 attempts, and her health is so degrading, and you can see it, and she's still working so hard. It's such a dark thing to talk about.
And just saying that you can prevent unwanted pregnancies by doing these things. भन्ने खालको एजुकेसन दियो हैन. द ओन्ली यहाँ भनेको पिल्सहरूको बारे, कन्ट्रासेप्टिभ पिल्सको बारेमा कुरा गर्छन् कि गर्दैनन् त्यति हुँदैन.
अब जस्तो फ्यामिली प्लानिङकै एजुकेसनल कन्टेन्ट लिएर गाउँघर जानु भएको छ कुनै अर्गनाइजेसन्स हुनुहुन्छ भने त उहाँहरूले त्यो कुरा गर्नुहुन्छ हैन. तर त्यसलाई कतिको स्कुल्समा त कस्तो भन्दाखेरि
सेक्स एजुकेसनमा चाहिँ के छ,
लाइक आई सेड, we had this teacher who would enter the class and blow it up with everything she would say हैन. तर हामी त्यसको लागि प्रिपेयर्डै थिएनौँ किनभने हामीलाई 7, 8, 9 मा त त्यो कुरा सिकाइएकै थिएन कि. सो एट 10 it was a sudden blow. हुन्छ नि. So the only thing was, okay, she did introduce condoms to us. Thankfully I'm so thankful we had her, because अहिले मैले कुरा सुन्दै जाँदाखेरि चाहिँ you never had that in your school.
No, हाम्रो क्लास 12 सम्म केही थिएन. ISC मा कसरी राम्रोसँग पढ्ने, टप्ने, अनि त्यसपछि दिल्ली DU मा कसरी छिर्ने, all that stuffहरू मात्र थियो.
I'm so thankful we had her. तर कस्तो भन्दाखेरि त्यो कस्तो भयो भन्दाखेरि त्यो चाहिँ बिचमा छुट्यो जस्तो लाग्यो क्या. जस्तै अब trying to give whatever she has, but she also has this obligation that comes from the system which she is in, which is the school again, हैन. अनि त्यसले गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ कति सिकाउने भन्ने कुराको चाहिँ एउटा अब वालछाल सबै पनि सिकाउन मिलेन, हैन. Also the things that okay, if you're watching porn or if you're like हुन्छ नि looking at the sexual contents, if you're reading, पहिला त यस्तो read पनि हुन्थ्यो.
One of the first things you learn is like masturbation. Like I've got erogenous zones भन्ने खालको थाहा पाइन्छ, हैन. A lot of people
त्यसलाई त्यसरी थाहा पाइदैन नि फेरि. त्यसलाई इरोजिनस जोन्स छ भनेर थाहा पाइदैन यो के भइराछ
भन्ने खालको, हैन. अनि त्यसपछि के के भइराछ क्वेसन आएपछि के हुन्छ, once you start exploring yourself, feel guilty.
त्यो त गराउँछ, डेफिनेटली गराउँछ. रिलिजियसली ग्राउन्डेड कन्ट्रिजमा द्याट इज डेफिनेटली गोइङ टु ह्यापन. यु थिङ्क पाप भयो, मेरो आत्माले पाप मागिरहेछ त.
त्यस्तो हुन्छ है. अब मेबी थ्रु मुभिज दिस द्याट साथीहरूसँग कुरा गर्यो, कोसँग कुरा गर्यो, यु रियलाइज कि नर्मल हो, यो गर्नुपर्छ, रमाइलो कुरा हो भन्ने खालको सिकेर गर्ला. बट देन कस्तो हुन्छ भने यु स्टार्ट फोकसिङ ओन्ली अन योर सेल्फ के, होइन. अनि इफ यु विदाउट सेक्स भनौँ न, एउटा इन्ट्रेस्टिङ मान्छे त्यो एउटा भिडियोमा उसले भनेको थियो कि we as humans, as animals, we have evolved to be sexually active with another person, not with yourself. Right? You haven't evolved to get off and get aroused by something on a screen or something like that.
So you need another person.
It's important to have another person. Okay?
Yeah, it's important to have a partner.
So it's important to be sexually active with another person. Right? But when we start being like your without like यो सोसाइटीले हामीलाई के सिकाइरहेछ, बिहापछि मात्र गर. अनि त्यसपछि जुन त्यो आफूमा क्युरियोसिटी विथ अनदर पर्सन आउँछ, त्यो हामी लाइक अब क्लोजेट गरेर राख्छौँ. यो त राम्रो होइन, बिहापछि मेरो बुढासँग मात्र, मेरो बुढीसँग मात्र भनेर हामीले त्यो गर्न थाल्यौँ भने ओन्ली सोर्स अफ सेक्सुअल प्लेजर के भयो, मास्टरबेसन. अनि त्यसपछि जब बिहा गरेपछि अब बुढा बुढीसँग यु स्टार्ट बिकमिङ सेक्सुअली एक्टिभ, त्यति बेला के हुन्छ,
you don't know how to do it.
You don't know how to. अनि त्यसपछि के हुन्छ, बिकज यु बिकम सो सेक्सुअली एक्टिभ विथ योर सेल्फ, त्यहाँ चाहिँ यसको आउटकम देखिन्छ कि यु मेबी आफ्नो पर्फर्मेन्स कम्प्रोमाइज हुन्छ होइन. अनि त्यसपछि त्यो पर्फर्मेन्स कम्प्रोमाइज भएपछि रिलेसनसिपमा
begins. Also I think you won't be comfortable telling your partner what you like, because for the longest time you know what you like, you cannot explain.
Yeah.
होइन, त्यो गर्न सकिँदैन. त्यसले गर्दाखेरि रिलेसनसिपमा ह्याम्पर हुन सक्छ. द्याट्स देयर. I've read so many these kind of articles where women talk about not losing their virginity for the longest time. यसको असर बढी womenमा हुन्छ है, just letting you know. I don't know about men, but I think mostly in female, I think there's this pressure of being virginity for so long. And by the time you read and finish the article, you'll realize that it isn't that they weren't interested, and they don't want to confess that, म interested थिइनँ त्यही भएर गरिनँ भनेर जसरी उहाँले त्यसको एक्सप्लेनेसन दिनुहुन्छ. By that you can so figure out that they didn't do it because they were trained that way. होइन, ओके तपाईँलाई चाहिँ you are supposed to do it only after your wedding भन्ने कुरा चाहिँ बच्चा बेलामै भनिन्छ नि त, because लुज हुन्छ अनि बुढाले तिमीलाई मन पराउँदैन, बुढाले तिमीलाई छोडिदिन्छ होइन. त्यो एउटा जुन एउटा कन्सेप्ट छ that okay, vagina is just going to be loose, and then it just, I don't know, loses its whatever it is, and then the man is not going to like you, and then a man is going to replace you just like he changes the shoes. त्यो भनिन्छ नि त होइन. And that is in your subconscious.
Yeah, it gets in your head and then it scares you.
It scares you.
Yeah.
100% the fact that you weren't interested is one, A, because you were like asexual, and B, because you were scared. And why were you scared is because the way you were raised.
अर्को पनि कुरा जस्तो, this gives too much power to the men पनि कि like what power पनि कि like it makes them superior.
It
some
does.
way or the other. It just makes them superior, that you're supposed to preserve it for them. Something precious, you need to preserve it for them. And this is not yours to enjoy. It's for the other person to enjoy. भन्ने खालको जस्तो सिकाउने के. अनि यसले गर्दा कस्तो डरलाग्दो या शकिङ एक्सपिरियन्स हुन्छ होला कि उनीहरूलाई जब बिहापछि
all of a sudden it happens.
Yeah, all of a sudden it happens, and like you're never told that this is something timlai pani ramailo huna parne kura ho.
You're also supposed to enjoy, and you can tell your partner, okay, this is what I like, this is what I don't like. I do not want to do it today. I want to.
Yeah, and like, oh shit, man, the topic of marital rape when it comes under this top umbrella of sex education.
It does, yeah.
That just because you're with a partner does
just
not
because
mean
you're married doesn't
yes.
mean, yeah.
I know. Exactly, like it's important to ask consent from your girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife, partner, whatever. Married, unmarried doesn't matter. Just because you're in a relationship doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that the answer is always yes.
Always yes.
Is also part of sex education. Falls under your consent. You
I can think of so many examples where my friends have told me that, okay, I didn't want to do it, but he was constantly doing it, even if I said no. I remember that. And my friend, she put it, माया गर्ने मान्छेले त्यस्तो गर्दैन नि है निश्मा. And I didn't have an answer because yes, माया गर्ने मान्छेले त्यस्तो गर्दैन. And she is 30, like she was elder to me. I think it was like 2 years ago.
यो सबै कुराहरू मैले अघि अब कतिचोटि भन्ने होइन, तर फर मी नलेज इज पावर. सो त्यही भएर सेक्स एजुकेसन स्कुल्सहरूमा घरहरूमा जति कम्फर्टेबली पढाउन थाल्यो यो सबै कुराहरू, सेफ सेक्स, प्रेग्नेन्सीको, एसटिडिज, एसटिआइजहरूको, कन्सेन्ट, सेक्सुअल हरासमेन्ट, असल्टहरूको कुरा जति पढायो के हुन्छ, नलेज इज पावर भनेपछि आफूमा त्यो एज अपोज टु डिमिनिङ योर daughters by saying कि something you need to preserve for someone else, यो सबै कुरा यो तिम्रो लागि होइन उसको लागि, प्योरिटी यो सबै भने that's very demeaning. उनीहरूलाई इन्फिरियर बनाएको होइन. त्यो गर्नुको सट्टा बरु एजुकेट गराएर त्यो नलेज, त्यो पावर, त्यो कन्फिडेन्स दियो भने त झन् कति राम्रो होला कि.
That would be best. And it's very important, while you're saying this, I just want to add that it's very important to not have religious grounds in this one.
Yeah.
It's my religious grounds चाहिँ नराख्दा नै बेस्ट हुन्छ कि जस्तो मलाई लाग्छ कि there is no purity.
Yeah.
Nobody is going to heaven because of Kanyadan.
Yeah.
Nobody is. We don't even know if there's heaven.
Yeah.
I know, but there's earth and there's life and there are people.
Yeah, and there's so many aspects, the ways you can enjoy life, and like Buru, give them the power and the freedom to enjoy it. Okay?
While you're saying this, again, मैले त्यो अघि कुरा गरिरहेको थिएँ होइन, त्यो जस्तै there are women who do not have sex for the longest time. त्यसले गर्दाखेरि एउटा frozen sort of behavior आउँछ क्या उहाँहरूमा. And I'm talking about mental health here. है, how sex and mental health is related. किनभने it's biology eventually. होइन, तपाईँको बडीमा hormones and this and that. And I think you'd be a better person to explain.
अघि पनि यो कुरा भइरहेको थियो, like, and like you've heard it so many times, so many people might have heard it so many times, sex is a de-stressor. I know. There's so many stresses of life, frustrations, all that stuff, right? And like when it's fun and pleasurous, and you can enjoy sex and it becomes a de-stressor, okay? And then what happens, I'll link it to masturbation, right? When we learn to only de-stress with masturbation, with ourselves, what happens is, like, you're not one sexual performance ma asar parcha haina, ani impotency ma pani dekhina sakcha yo haina, ani त्यसपछि के हुन्छ भने you get frustrated with yourself, you get frustrated with your partner haina, and then it gets in your head, okay? And then like the more insecure you become, the more you start being in your head, performance झन् compromise हुन्छ हैन. यसले गर्दा एकदमै म्यासिभ असर पर्छ कि. So it's very important to not restrict people from exploring and experiencing these things. क्लोजेट गरेर राख्नु भएन कि यो कुराहरू चाहिँ. एक्सपिरियन्स पहिल्यैबाट कस्तो हुन्छ, अब फर्स्ट सेक्स नै खतरा हुन्छ भन्ने, अब बिहापछि नै फर्स्ट सेक्स हुन्छ भनेर भन्यो, अनि त्यसपछि फर्स्ट सेक्स नै खतरा हुन्छ भन्ने खालको आश राखेपछि त अनि कसरी लाइक त्यो यो एक्सपेक्टेसन भर्सेस रियालिटी खालको हुँदैन त.
त्यही भएर बिहाको दिन के त्यो हिन्दी मुभिजमा देखाउँछ नि, ग्लास दुध दिन्छ फर द पर्फर्मेन्स एनहान्समेन्ट.
Is that why?
Yes, you didn't know?
I didn't know that.
You're joking, right?
No, I did not know that.
You didn't know that?
I did not know that.
Oh, they give you that dude for the power, stamina.
Oh, okay.
And they only give it to the men. as if the woman is not doing anything there. You know, I just realized that a lot of women aren't comfortable masturbating.
The guilt one, like they make you feel guilty for exploring yourself. Men also feel guilty.
They do
like,
while masturbating.
No, I mean like young teens who aren't taught all these things. Like, I'm doing something. What am I doing? I don't know. Guilt one. I mean, fear of like, is this okay, right, wrong? And then like, two questions around it. Not feelings of like I'm exploring myself. But like,
girls might say there's more fear than guilt. I know. Once you do it, there's guilt definitely. I think there's a lot of fear because of all the stigma, the taboo, the whole concept of purity and the religious grounding and this and that. Okay, men not liking you after if you're not a virgin. While you use the word exploration, I think so much about multiple sexual partners. जस्तै if सोच्ने नै हो भने त the concept of multiple sexual partners, I'm not talking about threesome or foursome here, right? I'm talking about multiple sexual partners in different periods of time because we have different relationships all over while we're growing up. अनि त्यो पनि alien थियो नि, त्यो त 100% alien थियो नि.
Yeah. Like,
it was never there. Imagine like one person sleeping with like three, four partners. त्यो थिदै थिएन नि हैन.
And again, the concept, this goes into this toxic masculinity. Women, if they have multiple partners, they slut, whore, whatever, negative words. Boys want to play, like, you know, the
score.
Boss, like, you know, whoa, again, that goes into toxic masculinity and all, right?
Yeah, but I think it's important for us to say that, okay, you can have multiple sexual partners. It's as normal.
Yeah, and it's
just a part of exploring
just
your life
and experimentation and
your
stuff,
life. You're like
figuring out what you like, what you don't like, all that stuff.
Yeah,
it shouldn't.
It's okay to leave. I know this friend, so like saying, she's into casual hookup, and she's just feisty like that. That's her preference, and I've never judged her for that because, as long as you're having sex for pleasure or for intimacy, like for love and all, it's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
It's when you start using sexual manipulation for work and stuff, it gets wrong for me. That's when it gets wrong. So I remember one of her boyfriends who she was almost in love with just told to her that, okay, and I was like, damn, it's 2019. Are guys still saying that? And I just thought it's okay. It again comes back to religious grounding.
Yeah.
This is how it is. So boys in my school, they were like so experimenting, and when you're experimenting, हामी जब 9th class मा थियो त्यो बेला त porn easily available थिएन नि त. So one of these guys from my class, he went to Ratna Park बाट ल्याएको भन्यो हैन. उले चाहिँ त्यो porn novel जस्तो के porn novel. He brought a porn novel in class.
कति दिनको पैसा बचाएर.
Imagine the level of curiosity that a teenager saved money from his lunchtime, collected it, and got a porn magazine for himself. Magazine पनि हैन के त्यो त novel हो के. त्यसमा त्यो picturesहरु त्यस्तो थिएन के, there were words के. So you know what happens when you read books? I think you read a lot of books. So when you read books, then you imagine a lot, and the bunch of guys, they're reading the book, and one of these girls, she just got so frustrated because of all the teasing that we're getting. I'm like, because the magazine had such things about just the bistare, Nepali, it was Nepali. And the boys, they don't, I'm so sure उनीहरुको नेपालीमा मार्क्स कम आउँछ के, तर उनीहरुले पढ्यो त्यो पढेर सुनायो अझ हामीलाई. It was so, it was like, it was girls versus boys भयो के त्यो बेलामा, किनभने the boys were reading it, they were laughing at us, किनभने त्यसमा त्यो womenलाई त्यसरी नै sexualize गरिएको थियो के. And I now realize it was so एकदमै त्यो कस्तो भयो भन्दाखेरि अन्डर एज केटीलाई गरेको टाइपको स्टोरी थियो जस्तो लाग्यो मलाई. एन्ड देयर वर थिङ्स लाइक हुन्छ नि बिस्तारै उसको कागती भोगटेमा परिवर्तन भयो एन्ड थिङ्स लाइक द्याट. एन्ड दे वर कन्स्टेन्टली लाफिङ एट गर्ल्स बिकज हामी 9th grade मा थियो. some girls were having this kind of change in their body. So some of them have big breasts and some of them have small breasts. So they're literally giving names to us and things like that. And one of these girls, she got so annoyed, she stood up and she said, she pulled it. Now the magazine, the novel is like all over the class. Someone has someone has page number 5 to 9, someone has page number 12 to 13. It's 12 to 24. It's all torn, okay? And nobody's getting to read the full story. Nobody knows what happened in the story.
Porn ki kura garda hai. Let's talk about porn as a source of education to kids or like young boys and girls. A porn is just off the bat. If people don't know, porn is not real.
It's fictional.
It's fiction, right? And like people, when there isn't anyone talking to you about sex and safe sex and real sex and like how to enjoy it and safe and all that stuff, then porn becomes a source of like information, like or what things might be like or something like that. And porn what happens? Sex lasts for hours and hours and hours, and reality might doesn't last.
Such a expectation versus reality.
Expectation versus reality. And like,
but Johnny sins, bro.
Yeah.
He just. But you are.
Yeah. And this was cute. So like, let's look at like boys and girls watching porn separately. Porn le expectations create garne kasto kura bhanera. When boys are watching
together
porn,
any expectation create huncha
so like for example, a boy is watching porn, sees like, oh damn, it goes on for hours, and then finally when you do have sex and like, oh shit, like is something wrong with me? I know. And then the girl,
does he not like me? Does he not like me?
And the girl say watching porn says like, he can't get aroused because of me. Like, is something wrong with me?
Does
or
he
like,
not like me? Yeah.
Or like, why isn't our, sex lasting longer? Something's wrong. Something's wrong with him. Something's wrong with me. The guys think something's wrong with me. Something's wrong with her. And then like,
it's just...
you're comparing that unreal thing to a real experience that you're having. But when sex is not the only source of education, like, when there are things like, sex education and stuff like that, when there's an open conversation about sex, what happens is, maybe the two individuals feel comfortable talking to each other about, so this is something I'm not really enjoying. Maybe we can try this. Or, sex has become monotonous or like, ekdam normal. Let's try mixing it up or let's try spicing it up. I think, I'm not saying sex education will do this one, not making it a taboo thing. Taboo topic garena bhane chahi conversation open huna thaleपछि relationship actually ma help pani huncha ki.
I think just putting it out that okay, what happens in porn isn't real. अहिले झन् feminist pornsहरू पनि आउन थालेको छ, which actually is seen as a rather real भन्ने कुरा हो. I haven't watched it, so I can't really talk about it. I think I'm past that age where you watch porn. I just realized that, but I've heard of it. Okay, feminist porns are there, which are more realistic to have for both men and women, because porn isn't just giving a fictional idea or an expectation to women. It's also putting the men on this pedestal where they have to go on for hours and hours, which is just so humanly not possible.
And you have to like pleasure the person. It's all you. Like you have to be doing it, and that's too much of like the porn is not real. Just
and it's I think it's getting so much better these days because of social media, and thankfully we are in this I think a box where people like us can be kept and said, okay, you are free to watch whatever you want to, and then I get to watch contents where girls are talking about, okay, girls, listen to this, okay, penetral sex may not be pleasurable to you and things like that. I wish it was there back then. I'm not asking schools to have these kind of content, just letting okay, for like just a PS that, okay, I'm not asking schools to have these kind of content, but if you just put it out that, okay, maybe in a formal language that sexual activity is activity done by two people for mutual pleasure. For mutual pleasure whatsoever, in a formal way, I think it would have been.
Yeah, and like just again, you don't have to go be explicit and all. Just start normalizing this thing. It's not a fantasy.
No.
It's not sindur khasera pregnant hune. गुरुले मन्त्र दिएर pregnant हुने होइन like so everyone does it, everyone's doing it, just normalize it भन्ने कुरा मात्र हो कि
घरमा पनि स्पेशली स्कुलमा कन्टेन्ट हुनुपर्छ भन्ने कुरा हामीले राख्यौँ रे अनि घरमा चाहिँ फेरि होम इज द फर्स्ट स्कुल एन्ड इट्स अलवेज इजियर फर गर्ल्स टु हियर इट फ्रम देयर पेरेन्ट्स
एक्ज्याक्टली या
मेबी स्टार्टिङ फ्रम मम एन्ड देन फ्रम फादर अल्सो वाट्स द बिग डिल होइन एन्ड देन फर गाइज टु लिसन इट फ्रम देयर फादर एल्डर ब्रदर एन्ड देन मेबी मम इज वेल इफ दे आर कम्फर्टेबल होइन बट एटलिस्ट समवन फ्रम होम हु क्यान टेल देम ओके I have a friend whose father told him satark hunu parcha, which is still like thank you so much for saying that.
Yeah, at least something.
Satark.
Yeah.
What kind of content or curriculum do you think schools
must have? Exactly, that was one of my last questions. What kinds of like?
I was planning to ask it to you.
Okay, all right.
What kind of?
Let's talk about that.
Okay.
I think sex education shouldn't be just like one workshop. Or a 3-hour presentation, like koi visitor like बोलाएर stuff like that. I think त्यसरी चाहिँ हुनु हुँदैन. Like यो the reason मैले कसरी हुनु पर्छ को सट्टा मैले हुनु हुँदैन भनेको is because if schools start adopting उनीहरूले यही cheapest method or something like that कि ING हरूले आएर गरोस् हैन because त्यो त सिधैमा हुन्छ हैन or 3 घण्टाको लागि visitorलाई बोलाएर यो गरौँ हैन. I think it needs to cover one the safety side of it. Contraceptions. It needs to cover STDs, STIs. And it also needs to cover the other umbrella of consent, assault, harassment, rape. Yo sabai kuraharu. And also tackle topics of things that you said, like, that don't demean women. This kanya and purity and all these things. It should cover masturbation. All of these things, just basically bringing it out in the open and normalizing it. You say curriculum, I don't think we have a 6-month course semester wise. This to hunu pardaina. I know, but it should cover all these topics. It should cover masturbation, dekhiye, sex, everything, consent. देखि सबै कुरा के
अलरेडी टच मात्र भए पनि गर्दै पनि पुग्यो भन्ने कुरा हो
सबै डिटेलमा जानु पर्दैन यो कोर्सै पढाउ भनेको हैन bring it out into the open and I really do think someone like or a school ma qualified like counselor doesn't have to be a psychologist or someone they're a qualified person where students can just go and ask questions about I've started exploring myself.
Don't even get me started with that. Nepal ma testo ka huncha
hunu parcha colleges ma schools ma hunu parcha
ho counselor ani testo
huncha kina mai huncha jasto लाग्छ थाहा छ like if I really hope एउटा पनि school principal college dean or whoever is listening starts adopting this. Miss St. Paul's ma म जहाँ पढेको थिएँ we brought this issue up a lot ke school counselor चाहिन्छ because a lot of bullying and all happens in unita ke bhancha boarding schools and all. Few years later school counselor राख्यो के maybe accidentally because the reverend ko wife was a psychologist but still राख्यो but so I really think like it's necessary to have some kind of person who can actually talk about these things if students have questions.
And then they threw him out because they thought yesto chahidaina. So I am not sure. Science counselor has got science.
It's so sad ki like again not because like malai liyena bhanera haina but like I pitched this. I thought it was such a good idea. I told them I can help facilitate this. I don't have to do this, but like this is something you need to do in your college school. Good idea bhanera ani like phus tara I really think it should happen. I think we both see the importance of
I really feel that the curriculum must first start from the curiosity part because
like what
I think children the teens, I think they will be in their preteens when we start these kind of topics. It must start with how curious they are going to be about this and how they need to learn to regulate it, be patient with it. And this is the age where they are going to feel what they are going to feel.
Yeah.
And then maybe we move on with the topic. Just so they know that what they're feeling or the kind of curiosity they have, the kind of questions they have as men, women, LGBTQ friends, all of them. how they're feeling right now, that's the normal feeling.
It's normal.
Yeah,
you don't
exactly.
Need to feel scared. You don't need to feel guilty.
Exactly.
It's normal stuff.
So I think when we start from the curiosity part. I know that you guys are curious. I think that should be the first line of any teacher who wants to start the conversation. Not my teacher come into a class and say, be very serious. It's a very serious class today. I wouldn't want that.
Yeah.
That's not the right way. For me, it's like...
It shouldn't be just a one-way conversation. Okay?
It mustn't.
Students, some of them who have questions. Because I'm class with 30 जना छन् रे यो topic भइराछ भने तपाईले एउटा कोही question सोध्नु भयो भने हैन about sex and some let's say a female experience of sex or something. Another female counterpart of yours would be like, oh, I also had that thing, and so this is normal. Ulai ni bhako rahecha. I ask a question of a male related question about sex, and another person will say, oh, I also felt that and experienced that. That's normal, right?
I'm not sure if teenagers will actually be comfortable talking about it in school. I'm not sure if they'll. So? I'm not sure.
If they have, then let it be open.
If they have, then yeah. No. If they have, let it be open. I think maybe high school ma tyo possible tha hola.
Because I feel like this kind of teens are getting this so much from so many other places. Like, it's gonna be very easy to get it wrong, okay?
That, yes.
So that's why before they get it wrong, schools need to enter and fix it and get it right. And, so that our young boys and girls don't get information from the wrong places. This is because there is so much chance to get it wrong or get it from the wrong places. In my age, it was American Pie and all these movies. They were all the wrong places. I know. And
is that why you went to America?
No.
Again, one more time this question. But I always thought that
international orientation like, because they knew at that time American Pie, all these things are they're like, college is not American Pie, university is not first day of orientation. And culture shock like public display of affection same things like in India, like in Eastern Asian countries and they made it like culture shock. One of the first experiences of culture shock might see people kissing and stuff like that in public places. It's normal, all that stuff. Just like before you get it from the wrong places, let school and home be the right place, and like parents, teachers.
I can only imagine someone from like country like ours to go to maybe America and
New York in the metro,
keep on staring at people who are kissing.
I was in the metro in New York and it was moving by, and then someone was kissing, and I was like, "What is happening? People kiss in the open."
So much fun.
Shock.
No, I can only imagine someone to do that and saying like like they're watching some kind of.
I'm like international orientation, but don't stare. Don't stare. But anyway, I think a good place to end. I just really schools, colleges, parents. Please start being a little more open. Start talking.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to finish an entire book about this topic
in a year or in a day, and I think be more time relevant.
Exactly.
Not raise children in the religious ground when it comes to sex. It's absolutely not needed.
Them with fear when it comes to exploration.
No fear, and it's okay to tell them that this is just as normal. It's just going to come along in your life, and you can go ahead and explore, and there's no whatsoever reason for you to save yourself for your husband or your wife or anything. And then for schools, I think they can have the curriculum broken, maybe 7th graders, 8th graders, 9th graders, 10th graders, and then in 11th and 12th we can have open conversations or activities. We can have different kind of organizations coming in and maybe talking about it, because that's the time when teens actually experiment a lot.
11, 12.
So let them not be dependent on TikTok, social media, YouTube for this, because eventually they are going to see it. They are going to watch it. They are going to Google it. So it's better if you give them better answers from a younger age, so that they're not misleading. They're not misled into
wrong places.
It's very important. And And also parents, stop telling your children to not watch English films. They're just going to do that.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you so much.
If any of you is going to America thinking the college is going to be American Pie,
it's
Sandeep
not.
just broke it for you. It's not.
Yeah. So it really isn't. So yeah.
Is that why you returned back?
Oh, that's a whole other episode on why I came back. Anyway, yeah, thank you so much, Nishmaji, for joining me. This is such a nice conversation.
Thank you for having me. This is what, 30th episode?
28th.
28th. Okay. Oh, I'm 28 years old.
Oh, okay.
So nice.
So thank you
call
so
someone
much.
who's 29 next time. Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm really happy for you.
This was such an amazing episode. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
And I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.